to talk about today. So first of all, a bit of a recap from the year past. We had the Jolla Love Day about a year ago, so it's good to recap also what's been going on with the community activities in the meanwhile. All right. Hey, then we have a couple of words about open sourcing. That's a topic, of course, important within the community activities here, and that's a topic we have discussed every now and then. Last time also in FOSDEM, those who were there. And then, of course, we hope that there will be plenty of questions, live discussion, enjoyment, and so forth. We hope to get also questions from the line, from the chat. So hopefully you can use the chat window in the Zoom as well. And maybe Marco, you can try to follow those, and Annika there while we are speaking here. So let's cap some questions. If there are questions during the presentation, that's also fine. But maybe we try to gather those towards the end of the presentation. Let's get going. Let's get started and Joe. So hey, couple of things. Just wanted to say from my perspective and Jolla team perspective regarding the past year. So it really got us reborn. Basically, what we launched last year in the Love Day, we launched the Jolla C2 phone. Not the greatest spec, but also super important in the. If you're on the line, please mute yourself. Not Antti, because this is the audio that people can hear. But anyway, if you're there on the line, so that's very important. Then also Mind2, of course, an important product for our strategy that we push forward in terms of the very hot AI topic that there is around the world and everywhere soon around us. We want to bring a different kind of an angle to AI with the privacy first angle. This is exactly what we are building with the Mind2. But what is very important now is that this has actually grown our community significantly. We have actually now just ordered and received a third batch of the Jolla C2 phone, so we can continue expanding the operation there with the phones as well. We of course want to continue supporting the Sony devices and even enable further the community ports later on the year with additional functionalities there. But it's super important that we have got new people joining to the very active community, and also such people that who would have not joined if there wouldn't have been a device like a smartphone that you can just buy and try and start enjoying that. So that's why it's been very, very important that after a long period of time, since 2016-17, we actually have a Sailfish phone that we can sell directly pre-installed with the good Sailfish experience, and then we can grow the community with people who wouldn't dare to reflash their Sony device or Fairphone or something like that. I know many of you guys are totally capable and fine with that, and you enjoy that, and that's part of the community. But of course, we all want that simply there is more of us around the world, and this has really proven the case now in the past year. So that's really good. We'll talk more about Mind2. Antti will show actually a demo, a presentation about it. So we'll cover that part more there. Maybe actually this is the part that I would then hand over to Antti if you want to give us an update in regards to dear Mind2.
So it's actually now 1.5 years from the time I got the idea of Mind2 that we would all have personal AI assistants eventually. That was the idea basically. And then I thought that it has to be private basically. It has to be our own. And it was very early days because January last year it was not even possible to do that kind of a local device. There were no that kind of local AI models which would have been possible good enough for that. But we had some experts giving us some advice on what is coming soon in there, so we were brave enough to take the risk and start developing. And of course, I can say that it has been easy to predict and how to build this kind of totally new kind of product which has completely new kind of software where we need to fit new kind of AI models to work in and where even the AI interfaces are completely new, developed by the hardware manufacturers. So quite many moving parts there. And also the user experience part, that okay, what's the ultimate goal of this? How should it work basically? That is it the kind of just a server device, but then how does it connect? How does it connect to our lives actually? And then in January we released, January early February we released the Mind2 Alpha device, and some of you are owners of Jolla Mind2, and then we all know that there has been plenty of experiences there. There has been bugs and which we've been fixing and so on. But then we actually started thinking in a few months ago, 3 months ago actually, that the architecture what we've been building might not be exactly right. And especially when we think that we actually have computing power around us everywhere, basically. We have our laptops, we have our phones, we have at work, we have also computing power, maybe even cars sometimes. So we started thinking that maybe we need to take a different road, because Mind2 has a big important role as a kind of AI server, something that you can connect to it, and you can always know that it's always on and running there and processing privately your stuff, information there. But what if you are moving? You are on your mobile. Then you need to have a connection anyways to your Mind2. And then second thing is that, for example, some of my friends are owners of Mind2 as well. They have purchased, and I know that they have very powerful laptops, Macs, or which are able to run 30 billion parameter models, whereas Mind2 is not capable of doing that. So we started thinking that, okay, maybe we should build this as a node, basically, family of nodes, so that Mind2 is the home. It's the trusted party which is processing your emails and your documents, but it's not in a hurry. It can do it 24 hours a day. It can process those documents. But at the same time, when you are chatting with your phone or your laptop, you want instant service, basically. You don't want slowness on there. So how to bring this puzzle together? And I think we have now quite good architecture for that, what we've been now building for last 3 months. I'll show a sneak peek to that. It's quite exceptional that we saw something which is very, very raw today still, but you'll get the point, and we want to show early. So this is basically I'll just present the new UI ideas, and this is also going to affect directly to Mind2, but we are building this as a desktop application. It's all going to be Electron app, which is independently running on the desktop, and then you can, from the configuration setup table, decide which hardware you are actually connecting to it, so that you can connect it to Mind2, and you can then set up so that I want that my emails are processed in Mind2. I want that my, I don't know, web browsing documents are processed in the cloud, because there's no privacy issue. And I want my chat to be processed locally in my desktop, for example. And this is one of the problems what we faced with Mind2 in the very, very beginning already, is that it doesn't handle very well kind of a parallel processing. So we had the problem that it's processing email, documents, and suddenly user wants to chat, and it breaks this process, and it actually breaks the role of Mind2 in there. Its role is to process in the background your documents. So this way that we built a desktop app where user can themselves define where my different things are processed. If I have a more powerful computer or my laptop, then I can use that for certain processes. For example, document processing, for example, or if you want to be researching huge amount of documents at the same time, Mind2 can't do that. but then you might be able to do that on your laptop. Okay, that's the basic idea in here. And there's one concept what we were, yeah, maybe I'll go it later on. So how this is now built in is that you have your personal assistant, which you can personalize. And it's basically handling a triangle of tasks. It's handling your emails, your tasks, and your calendar. So one assistant is able to handle all of these things. So you can ask about your emails, but you can also ask it to write your emails. You can ask it in a chat to ask it to send a calendar invite. It goes to your email, to your friend's email. You can check from your calendar. You can also plan your tasks and check what tasks do I have today. But then everybody can set up their own assistants basically additionally. Now we've been, by the way, we've been a little bit wondering how to call this. Is it like a assistant or a coach? Now we are more going towards an assistant as a term here. And for example, here I have a task assistant specifically helping me in planning activities. So I can give it access to if I want, I can give it access to my tasks or my calendar, for example, in my desktop. We have a setting here, which is this, and so excuse for the design, we don't have yet the latest design, but you can basically decide here that what model you are using for this. For example, you can use AWS Bedrock models, or you can use your local Ollama models, and so on. And then you can decide what model on there you decide the temperature, but you can also decide the persona here. So for example, if it's an investor coach or technical planning coach or something like that, it really helps that you actually define a person which is special in that, so that the AI is actually taking that tone on there. Another interesting, so it basically sets up the persona here but then you can set up the system prompt also. So that anytime you are using this, it has the system prompt what you are kind of found very useful for you. So you don't have to kind of, at least happens to me all the time that I had this good prompt, but I don't find it anymore. So it's stored here. You can edit, you can modify it. Then one very interesting thing what we have developed is that you can put a privacy protection on here, and then you can add names here. For example, if I say that let's say that Jolla and Sailfish and I don't know, Sami, Antti are names which I don't want ChatGPT to know about. So many times I go business brainstorming with ChatGPT, for example, and it's highly useful. It's very, very good model, but I don't want to reveal my customers' information, but I still need that. So I can just put here customer's name and all private names, and it will encrypt basically. So before the message goes to the ChatGPT, it has encrypted, changed the name. And the good thing is that when it comes back, it encrypts it back for me. So me as a user, I don't see anything basically changing, but the ChatGPT just sees some kind of name codes there as a change. You can also set up contextual information, like a massive amount of information that what this needs to know. You can connect to, for example, you can connect this to your calendar so that it knows, for example, if you are going to a task planning, sprint planning mode, and I say that, hey, help me to make a sprint plan for launching Jolla Mind2 in next phase in 4 weeks. It can check my calendar, say that no way, Antti, you can't do this. You're too booked on. Or you could have your team information here, that what kind of team members you have, what are their skills, what can they do, and then again you get very high quality advice on this. And you can do this with your private own local model, or you can use ChatGPT. It's your choice basically on there. So that's and you can design basically your own model as you wish. For example, we have some clients who are using this for their supplier data analysis. For example, their suppliers are sending them data, and then this is automatically picking this data from the emails, and then they have, together with us, built a script which is always analyzing that data. Super useful. Can also automatically send messages to you that, okay, this data is now something wrong with this. Please be aware. Or it could be customer proposal data. If there's a request for a proposal from customer, it can basically compare to your product database and see if there's similar kind of a product already provided to the customer, so that you can quite quickly actually answer to the customer. Then one of the things there's a story here always, of course. I had a small few days hiking holiday in Lapland in April. Skiing holiday. There was barely any snow left, but it was very nice. But when I landed to Rovaniemi, I flew there. Finnair sent me an email that, "Hey, Antti, your luggage didn't arrive," and I was like, "Gosh, great." Luckily, it was only my skiing rods, so the rest of the stuff I got. But then that made me thinking. I had some time in the bus to think that I thought that personal assistant should have known this already. It should have, when I switch on my phone, it would have said that, "Antti, there's an email from Finnair. It says that your luggage didn't arrive, and you should do maybe this and that." And then it should actually also know that I'm actually planning a trip and I'm on a trip. And then my next thing is that when does my bus leave, basically, from the airport to the Luosto or whatever. Where do I stay? Because I actually went to wrong hotel even. So all this contextual information, it should know. And I started thinking that, okay, how do we build that, basically? Because now we have the search, vector database search, and it's quite high quality. You can find information, but there's no way that you can get into good level of information, that level of information, searching through all your data, basically. It will never work. So I started developing this kind of concept, which we call now activities. It's basically something that you will define yourself. You define in your email, for example, you click in the email an activities group. For example, if you get the Finnair flight ticket and you say that, okay, this is my flight ticket to, I don't know, Los Angeles. You click and say, I want to create an activity. And then you give tag names for this, and it creates a trip, Los Angeles trip, and then it starts creating all the data for that trip, all your hotel bookings, all your even discussions related to that, all your meetings, and so on. And we pre-process in the background with Mind2, or could be processed also in your laptop. It's fetching that data, pre-processing it into ready basically JSON files in there. So then you have activities, Los Angeles trip. You have activities, your today's emails. You have activities, your next week calendar. So all things what matter to you are basically activities. So this way you curate your own data, something which is important for you. So I'll show a little bit of this now. So And sorry for the ugliness of the UI, but that's what we are. We show something very early and a bit raw, but it will be nice. So, so basically, for example, here I have activities called today's emails, and it has 3 emails. There's an NDA, there's a meeting proposal, and there's a flight booking from Finnair. And instead of me asking this from the vector database, I'm actually addressing my questions to these activities here. So for example, I asked what new emails have I got? And of course, it's instant because it's processed in the background already. We actually even create the semantic finding so that my function calls are actually finding anything what I asked. We create even those tailored to those activities. So each of these have their own semantic function calls in the background. So then I can go further. I say that, okay, what does Mikko want? And again, it goes to activities, and because it's pre-processed, it's able to query those things instantly. And then I'm asking that, okay, what time does Mikko want to meet? That seems to be, okay, that didn't work. Anyway, so you get the point basically. And so you can have if it's select the task codes here, I have my calendars, activities. I have today's meeting calendar. I have next week's calendar. I could have my yearly plan as an activities as well, similarly. So everything is curated and it's in your own control, basically. You decide what you do basically with this. I have my Finland summer holiday trip here planned and so on. And one of the things is that now we are basically in the task coach. So I can say that help me to plan Jolla community event in Tampere. And now I can do this with, if you remember I was able to connect this to any AI model. I'm using ChatGPT. So, and what we now have here is it's actually multi-phase model. Now it's went directly to this generation mode, but it's actually having a discovery mode. So it's asking questions from you. And you can also, of course, have massive amount of background information for the AI. One of the cool things what we are just building, I don't know if you guys have been using Cursor, the AI coding tool, but we are building a little bit similar user experience. It's not yet done yet, but basically once I'm happy with the plan here, I just push this button and it creates a JSON document from the ChatGPT input, and then it updates here on we'll soon see at least a new document, I think. Yeah. Okay, so now it's created the plan Jolla community event. It's not yet updated here, but I guess it's yeah. So basically everything becomes interactive on your documents, and you actually start managing everything from the chat screen. I don't know, does that make sense? Okay. Then some other things also, you notice here is a document coach. So I can also have, so we are building basically full-scale document codes where you can edit your documents also with the commands, similar that you can do with Cursor, basically. So that you just say right here that, hey, modify the chapter first one here, put it bullets, add something. But another important thing here is that you can actually select those documents. Now I have only one document here, basically. Oh, maybe I have too many of, sorry, I'll refresh because it has selected already. All right. So I can select a document here, but I can select several documents as well on here. And I could do, for example, gap analysis. I could select a massive amount of, let's say that I'm writing some kind of important document, which, and then I have the source files in here. I could select those folder where the source files are, and I say that, hey, AI, I have to write this document which has these requirements, and then I have this folder full of this stuff. Please make gap analysis. What am I missing from here? And again, it has full access to that data, and it can start processing it. So now we have only one document here. It's I can say that please summarize Jolla ESG plan. So it's basically now sending this information to the, and now we use, here we use Bedrock DeepSeek. So I have selected Bedrock DeepSeek to make the analysis on there. And I can send massive amount of information. I can send probably 130 pages at once, basically to make analysis on there. But if this is very privacy focused, then I could either use my own laptop for that, or then I could have a company server dedicated for that purpose. And here you see the beauty of the structure, basically, that we are quite economical here, basically. Mind2 is exactly the right device to process your emails and all those things. It's the reliable workhorse there, not the fastest, but it doesn't have to be. It's reliable, it's always on there. You might not want your laptop all the time processing your emails and stuff. It's a little bit warming up at that moment, and it's also might be causing some trouble. At least sometimes I have some issues. So it's better that it's in Mind2. And if you have a mobile app, you can always have a possibility to then connect to your Mind2 on that. But then document processing, for example, this that you process massive amount of documents, that requires quite large models, and it's not actually, it's the context window basically, which you need quite big one. So even the 30 billion parameter models, they probably handle like, I don't know, 30 pages at once. So you start needing this DeepSeek type of models for massive amount of documentation when you are wanting to make those huge analyses. So that's why it's important to build this architecture in this way. There's one more thing, maybe what I'd like you to start thinking is that now people are using ChatGPT today, or cloud, or something, and those who are using a lot of those are already familiar that they're in peak hours, you start running out of capacity, basically. It slows down, and it matters really. Imagine that only maybe 5% of the world population is currently using ChatGPT or this AI. So we probably have, I don't know, 10 times increase ahead of us in this. Then we already know that in near future, all your information will be integrated with AI. It's not just you chatting, but it's your emails, your documents, your company data will be integrated there as well. So we'll see another 10 times increase of token capacity demand. So I would say that we are looking for 100 times increase of cloud or AI kind of token capacity requirements in just few years. Well, it's not going to happen because there's no energy to produce that. Nuclear power stations, in some countries it takes 7 years, in some countries it takes 30 years. We know some of those countries as well. And so what is going to happen very soon, and some people are already realizing it, who are hands-on developing this, that the local AI will be the winner. It's going to be exactly so that not only all processing computing power nowadays is in cloud. Big part of that happens here in your mobile phone. Some of it will be processed in the cloud. This is the future with AI as well. It's part of things are processed here in your laptop, some in your phone, and then some of that in the cloud. So that's what we are building, and I think it's the right strategy basically. And okay, so few words still, then I'll finish basically. Few words about the mobile thing, the AI app. These activities, basically, what I was mentioning here, that actually enables very, very light architecture for mobile, because these activities require very, very small model to process them semantically. It's basically, I don't know, it's probably 300 million parameter model or something like that, what it processes. Very lightweight. It doesn't require any processing power, those small files, because everything is pre-processed in the background. So I believe that we can actually build the first most efficient AI for application for mobile and in full privacy mode, basically, so that most of the AI computing is done in Mind2 or then in other device. And then the application is having all your daily meetings, all your weekly meetings, all your important tasks ready to be processed, and exactly being able to answer to your questions on that. I think that's going, because the mobile is going to be critical. These big models, even I think 3 billion parameter model will be problematic already for mobile when we look at the battery life and the heating and resource consumption. I think, and then the remaining answer is the cloud. But then, do we want all the information to be in the cloud? No, we don't. So then again, we have a quite good architecture for that. Yeah, that's what we are. And maybe question is that when is this ready? When is this available? We target for August. I don't know. There's lots of uncertainty here. We have the Electron app already running, but as you can see, we have quite a lot of development work. There's not much technical uncertainty. It's more like how to get this stable, basically, and working. But this architecture will solve quite many issues with what we have had with Mind2. And it's actually quite fast to develop now. We were using iframes in Mind2. This is much more simple and much faster to develop on here. And we'll also, let's see what we can do with the, we call it like a DIY assistance. That could be quite interesting, that you can build your own scripts into there and kind of build completely new kind of assistance yourself. And we'll be looking to build some kind of SDK for that as well. With these new tools like Cursor, it's quite fast to develop SDK as well, and documentation and everything like that. So that will help us there. Now I'm ready to have, if anybody has questions, I'm very happy to answer.
The questions
Yeah.
towards the end. There's
Yes,
lots of them in the chat anyway.
Yeah.
So we have collected those, and we have a couple of other topics to cover still. So
okay, yeah.
Maybe we do so. Antti, I think you need to stop sharing so that we can go on further with the slides. Let me see. Slideshow. This should be now actually in the right mode, also in the Zoom. But it was in the presenter mode earlier. Thanks for noting. Anyway, so that was the demo for the. Let me see if I'm in the camera. Hello. Yes. So demo for the. Show the audience. I can put my video here. Fun. Come on. the audio, I think it's Antti, it's your audio that we are recording. So
you can take the laptop even.
Yeah, we can do so. All right. All right, we'll continue here. So anyway, so that was regarding the Mind2, and let's then go forward. Regarding the Mind2 in particular, and this is related to the community activities in general and further about the open sourcing that we'll talk in the next slide. So like Antti was mentioning here, this is really a call to action. So what we definitely would like to do is that we have a true open community project when it comes to developing the mobile app for the Mind2 in the architecture and through the benefits that Antti was explaining there earlier. So this is definitely a call to action for everybody who is interested to join that. Likely we will do so that we'll establish a separate forum thread on the Sailfish forum for such activities. And anybody interested on that will be more than welcome to join. So this is definitely the case that we want to get established here, and hope that as many as possible and interested join to that discussion, be it a developer or be it the tester or whatever ideas or design or whatsoever. We try to make it as easy as possible, and we'll hand over certain contributions, of course, on our side as well, so that we show that we are truly committed to get this started in the proper way. We can discuss that further, of course, down the line that after the presentation. But hopefully this is an area of interest for many. Now, moving on to further regarding the open sourcing. So this is also something that's been of course of an interest for many of us here, and happy to say now that we are finally ready to move forward. This is something that was discussed also in our previous event in FOSDEM. Some of you were there, and every now and then in the community events, and now we are in a good position that we finally can move forward within the new Jolla company. We can move forward with these activities as well. And now this is very important message that there are certain components that we are ready to push to open source immediately during the Q3. We cannot do it like in a day, as you understand. It requires resources also on our side that we can push it and help then interested developers to do contributions and so forth. So this will happen during the Q3. So we'll start with the small ones, like you can pretty much, I think, read down the line from the simple components there from the top, and then going further down the line there. But we are now committed to do this, and this is really the thing that is happening. Now, going forward, very important is that we want to also that this is truly interactive, and that's why we have selected certain components here and certain applications and so forth, so that we can then see the results and interact and so forth, and see where the interest is and where the activities are, so that based on the feedback, then we can, after this one, move to phase 2, where we can do more if there are plenty of good activities and interest around these topics. But to go these through now, so basically there is a set of selected components in particular to help the device porting side. So that's one important thing. Device encryption components. Some of you have asked about that earlier already, that if this is an open platform and I have encrypted disk and so forth, can I just see down the line the whole path? And this will enable that for those who are interested on that. Accounts plugins. Nextcloud, for example, is something that's been particularly requested by the community some time ago, and this, for example, is definitely something that we would like to see to get merged then and develop further with opening these components. Practically, we can open everything excluding the Microsoft 365. We need to study that a bit further, but maybe that's not so much of an interest for an open contribution either. But for example, components like Nextcloud that could be of or is of a great interest. We definitely know that. I haven't heard that earlier. The device-side MDM API, that is something that actually some of our clients have also requested that, hey, they would like to develop, I mean, industrial clients, that they would like to develop further on this side. And this is also something that's not directly in our core strategy, and it would definitely help if there is maintenance and further development also on this side outside of our resources. So that's one of the things. Camera and gallery. Let's make a good camera. Really, seriously. So there's been a lot of good development with the Camera 2 API. Those who have followed that, that's really great. But we also need the application, and there should be one default good application also in Sailfish, and that's why we want to open the camera application and the gallery application together with that. Those naturally go hand in hand, and we'll push those to open. Then there is the weather app. You could say it even infamous for those who know, because of earlier licensing issues with the earlier commercial provider and so forth. So there's been forks and there's been workarounds and just too much of a hassle for a simple thing like a weather app. So now finally we can push that out also. So we can get a nice integrated, and hopefully these activities then merge with the help of pushing these out. Also Notes app, maybe there could be something interesting also on the Mind2 front when it comes to AI interactive privacy-oriented, privacy-first controllable notes. That could be an area of good interest.
And notes what you can find, basically. I think that's valuable for anybody.
Yeah. And really the emphasis on this, that we are committed to this phase 1 and we are committed to phase 2 as well. We are committed to continue this forward, but it's super important that we get feedback on these. We jointly see how these projects go, and then we steer based on that. So basically during the autumn time, before Q4 and before next year, it's the time to then sit down again and think about and see that where the areas of interest and activity are, so that we can then continue and expand this opportunity further down the line.
And by the way, if like some background maybe is that every time this kind of a company needs to do open sourcing decisions, we of course need to educate our board members what this means, and you can imagine that it's not easy area to capture and understand. So we've been spending a year basically training our board members, and now we have a decision basically to open source this. So it's always kind of a process to do.
Yeah. It is, but not only a decision for the phase 1, but really an outline also that we can then continue this. But very important that we start to see activity around this, and then we steer based on that together. I think that's then to, in a way, celebrate these openings and to celebrate the initiative of calling action for the Sailfish mobile app for the Mind2. Happy to also announce that as of today, actually, we also start to promote Jolla C2 and Mind2 as a combo. So if you're interested on these products, it's now available or should be available in Shopify, hopefully in an hour or so. So that you get a nice discount from original 998 if you would buy these products separately, as they have been. Now you can get it with 849 as a combo. This is definitely a targeted developer offering. So all of those who are interested to join this and purchase the combo, please be more than welcome and enjoy this offering. It's a limited time offering. Offering targeted.
That kind of give a little bit background information. So we have reserved a batch of 200 Mind2 devices for this. That's it basically. Then we don't know yet. It will be several months before the next batch will come. So, and we reserved this for really to kickstart this kind of a community effort and really start building we have some echo again, but So take a look if you are interested on starting to develop the AI assistant and working with us on this. Would be really great to have a finally a joint community project to build something together.
That's for the presentation part. I think we could move forward to the questions, discussion, so forth. We have some questions got from the chat. We'll address those, of course, and happy to open the floor also here, of course, so that if there are any questions, and hopefully we have lively discussion, not only questions from us and so forth, but of course lively discussions there in the tables as well. So open floor. Maybe we also address something from the chat. But is there anything to start with here from the room? Joshua, yes.
I have a question related to the Mind2 and its architecture. Is it going to support MCP, for example, if I leverage the GitHub MCP server to perform the actions?
Yeah.
So let's repeat to the line so people get the question about MCP.
Yeah, there was a question that will Mind2 be supporting MCP. Short answer, yes. So we are already working on MCP ourselves. Long answer is that we have also developed of our own approach also to this, which is I don't know how to call it, but it's more like a semantic function calling, like where you can do it with very small LLM models and so on. But yes, we are going to that direction, and even I think we should build maybe our SDK in that way, that it will be much more flexible with MCP structure.
Then there was a question from the line regarding this desktop app. That do you really mean that it's an app, or is it a browser-based? I think Tom was addressing that already with an answer that it's an Electron app, but Antti, something you wanna?
Yeah, it's basically a downloadable application. What we are doing, we had to do quite a bit of work for that. Not very simple to get it working, but now we have the base version already working on that, and the kind of the how we are now working is that we are developing this desktop solution first, but it's actually modular architecture, which will be then also Mind2 will be using the same modules basically there. So it's all one, and it's also developed in a way that mobile will be using the same models as well. And we used to have some Python parts, especially this personal assistant, but now we have converted or developed everything with TypeScript on there. So this will be directly, we can build this on mobile as well using the same. So I think we are getting there on the architecture quite nicely.
There's a follow-on question actually related to that in the chat, that what is then the benefit of actually having Mind2? That what is the role if this is a browser-based app? So why do you need Mind2?
You need Mind2 for processing your information all the time steadily. If you would have Mind2 on your desktop, and then if you have a mobile, your desktop will not be processing those when you are not at home, basically. So you will need basically for your assistant has to be with you all the time. There's no future for a solution where your assistant is with you when you are sitting on your desk, basically. That's not what we are building. We are building something which is fundamentally everywhere where you are going. That means that you need to have Mind2 in order to support that. Of course, there's a possibility for cloud solution, but that's then a different story, which we are not pursuing.
And then further, of course, important is that we all know that we have plenty of gear around us. Smartphone is actually very capable. Your laptop is likely very capable. Mind2 can be capable and so forth. So we, of course, want to also take the benefit of the hardware that you have around you with a good architecture.
Yeah. There's a question about is desktop written with TypeScript? It's or Qt. It's written with TypeScript. Yeah.
Anything from the audience here locally or chains? Please.
How can the information be either places unless it's on cloud?
Sorry?
How can the information be on either place where you are if it's not on cloud?
So it's in Mind2 basically. So you connect with your phone into this Mind2 device. No. Yeah, automatically. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
For the Mind2 is basically you have your own cloud.
It's your private own cloud. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, there's a question here that when this new stack will be in Mind2. Mind2 users will start benefiting immediately from this new stack when we have the desktop, and you will be actually the first ones to benefit from that. So you can connect your desktop then to Mind2 and start using it. The next stage is to update the Mind2 architecture, but let's say that the desktop will be, target is now August. These are loose targets because there's uncertainties quite a lot. And then we'll need to see, but I hope that quite soon after that we would have a possibility to update the Mind2 as well. There's a question, is it possible to connect local Ollama server running on GPU? Yes, there is. Yes. It's if this is like on a desktop, yes, there is a possibility. And then we are also now a little bit researching that Llama CPP that we could utilize that, but it requires a little bit more research that because it has maybe better capabilities of using GPUs as well, and it's more efficient, but less productized. Any other questions?
The protocol in the two devices is
Yeah, so it creates its own VPN pipe basically on. Yes, yeah. And that has been, I don't, Josh, do you know if anybody has developed their own VPN connection now to Mind2 already?
I think it's just for them having people using WireGuard.
But you have a yeah. Yes. Yeah, but so far it has been like each individual user have done it basically, but obviously we want to have an application which is already productized for that.
I think it basically very much depends on the local internet providers, depending on the country, or we have to handle it.
Yes, yeah.
I assign from Germany, and some internet providers don't offer you a public address that you can directly connect with, and then you have to somehow figure it out. So
Hey, there's a question about the accelerators and getting more processing power to Mind2. So this is an interesting topic because there's quite a bit of marketing in accelerators basically, and we for example visited CES in January and met quite many of these accelerator guys, and my conclusion was that most of them didn't know what they were talking about. Basically, they were just experimenting. Basically, it was experimental phase basically for most of the things. We always assume that somebody is offering something and then they know their stuff, but in this case, nobody really knows much basically. And there are a couple of problems with these accelerators. One is obviously that it requires quite a lot of work from our side to get them working. It's not that simple, basically. It requires effort. we've been experimenting with some, so that we have been, our CTO has been keeping the device outside of his home, being afraid of burning his house, basically, so that they are overheating. But there, it's a bit. I would say that yes, there should be accelerators on Mind2. I think the next step should be the desktop first, powering and giving more power to chatting and token speed. But I think in the roadmap yet, but we haven't yet found a good one, which would be clearly something that we can start investing our time also that on even this getting the GPU or actually NPU working on the Mind2 is already a bit experimental. So even the manufacturer doesn't know, it's not very well productized. So you need to, as our CTO says, that you sometimes need to sacrifice a goat to get it working, basically. So all these things are a bit, it takes quite a lot of time also. We are used to things are working, but in AI, it's Ollama, of course, is working quite well, but all this lower level stuff is a bit tricky. There's a, what do you want to be the main revenue stream for Jolla in the future? That's what our board is also asking from. So we are actually, of course, we've been positively surprised on the C2 demand. That has been very, very positive.
Indeed.
And we of course hope that we can build kind of a family around this, that there's a portfolio of things. We are also opening a new business line where we are helping industrial companies to develop their own AI solutions and infrastructure. There's also already some projects ongoing in there. There's quite a lot of companies are realizing now that local AI is something that they need. They don't want their documents to be sent to ChatGPT. And they are only now learning that actually it's 10 times cheaper, 10 times lower investment to implement it locally. Only thing what is missing is the software. So we are helping with the software. We are even setting up the servers ourselves in the beginning at least. We've been designing the architecture for these companies and advising them as well. So that's one stream, new business area that we are developing towards. And then let's see what is the kind of what will be the main revenue stream. We'll see then.
Some question about Accelera.
Yeah, that goes to beyond my knowledge. I don't know.
Maybe somebody from the line can also answer on the chat if possible. Let's see. Anything from the...
What's the exact question?
Sorry, you don't see it there.
Yeah.
How do you show that? Chat window.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not an expert, but Accelera has an SDK written in C++, Python, Voyager SDK. Not sure if this is useful, but I don't know. Anybody has experience?
It's a little bit like the problem how I have understood this working on different accelerators is that how to run multiple models with those. It's like you can put one model running like also with Mind2, but then switching between models, there's no kind of how do you say, integrations or ready tools for that yet. So that's one of the things. But everything is doable, but it just requires our core guys to be working on those dedicated. And now we have quite a lot of things still to do with Mind2 and the desktop. So
there's a question regarding, maybe I take this C2 question. So there is probably a demand for a phone with better specs running Sailfish OS. That's definitely the case. No surprise. But as we've been saying here, so we've been very positively surprised on the amount of new people also in particular that we have got to the community thanks to the phone. So we all knew already a year ago already that it's on the low spec side, but so is the price. It's not too expensive, it's an affordable device. It's easy to say that why don't you make Snapdragon with nice camera and stuff like that, and then it's 700-800 euro, and you ask around in the community, would you pay 700-800 euro? Many would, but many won't. So as Antti was saying here, we are definitely looking to extend the portfolio. I'm not here to announce a next C3 or something. That's not the point now. Now today we don't have that yet, but that's definitely something that we are interested. But down the line, what we are working on and have discussed also, for example, addressed this somewhat in FOSDEM already in February, is that we want to also enable the community ports better with the assets that we have. And one particular topic that we are cooking up a solution is the app support. So that we would enable app support, which seems to be very, very interesting and important for many community members using, for example, Fairphone or other popular community ports, so that you could run app support on those devices. So that would make actually a more powerful Sailfish daily driver. That's not an option for everybody, because it still requires somewhat technical skills to install Sailfish OS on other than pre-installed device. So, but that's an option that will expand the offering. Please.
Have you considered providing that service for others? For example, someone wants to buy there. I think there is someone selling Sony phones pre-installed with Sailfish OS. But for example, have you considered?
But that's one part of the definitely so. Yes.
So that people could buy straight from you.
You mean that like we would sell other brand phones?
I mean, provide service. Like they could send you the phone and you would do the flashing.
Well, that's a bit tricky one, because then we would become liable as a seller.
And we
So
simply would run out of
resources also. So need to be,
yeah.
I think, more the direction, but that's a very good question, actually.
Yeah.
So maybe repeat on the line as well, that there was a question that would Jolla be interested on providing a service to obtain people's phone and reflash and so forth. So we are not the right party for such in terms of resources, but the way we are thinking is that we just want to make it easier for people to get app support, in particular for the community ports.
Yeah. Hey, one comment, I basically need to take this a little bit carefully also, but there's no reason why we couldn't basically jointly also define that what kind of next device we want, basically. No promises given, basically, but it would be very helpful to get people feedback on that, what's actually required. And we have very good partners, basically, and very good access to different kind of hardwares. The question and the problem usually is the volume. So if we don't know what is the amount of demand, it's a very big risk for us to start, because it's always quite an investment. But we could think together completely different kind of approach. That okay, we kind of try to find a spec which would be kind of reachable and feasible. Of course, we can't try to do something which is impossible, but we could maybe kind of even create some kind of a community questionnaire on this, and then check if there's interest on the specs, because we don't know what you guys need and want. And then we have partners who might have exactly the hardware, what could be feasible and good. This C2 was an opportunity for us. We couldn't really at that moment exactly define the specs, but it doesn't have to always go that way. We could define the specs and then jointly kind of try to discuss with our hardware partners that if there's kind of a possibility to build that kind of device. I think we of course don't know what is the demand for next Jolla device, but there seems to be increasing trend that people want to have a privacy phone and independent phone. So we should probably, now we are approaching it with we should maybe consider that we would have a better specs as well later on. It's all, of course, longer project. It's not immediate, but something to maybe us to discuss internally as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's also that if there are other suggestions on this, for example, there are other areas where there are no volume products. For example, when you buy a keyboard, often there's this kind of group buys where you buy and then the device is made at a specific time and then shipped after a specific volume.
Yeah.
There are other similar ones that have these store devices where you usually buy it and then it takes like 3 months or something to get the device because they have the first patch when you
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
bigger one. But you need to just decide it.
No. It's a demanding project.
There's a question regarding Fairphone still, like a follow-on question. So question is that whether you can see it there, that whether we would offer license for Fairphone. So yes, we would, but as noted already in the reply there, that requires actually to have an agreement in place together with Fairphone. So be all my guests push Fairphone. so we know that there is a demand. And we are happy to do it, but of course it needs to be then a commercial agreement. On the other hand, us enabling generically app support for any community ports is something, at least the part that we can do. So that's something that we can do on our own, and hopefully that will help many. Then there was a question regarding the voluntary subscription, which is something that we announced actually around the midsummers. We did a midsummers posting on Juhannus Eve or something like that, or Eve's Eve. But anyway, so that is something that, as we said, will come up during July, and it's the 2nd of July. So there's still 28 days going to July. But anyway, the point being there is that we have had some discussion within the community as well, and with certain members in the community in particular, that why don't you just have that? So that is something that we are building. So instead of mandating everybody to pay for a monthly subscription, I'm talking about Sailfish OS now purely, not on AI or Venho, but in particular Sailfish OS. So we have people who understandably come to this or are interested on this platform because of the privacy. And this is one of the key aspects we have in the platform. And for some people, that also means that they don't want to be tied up with a mandatory monthly payment, because that's just against the philosophy. And that's understandable. So we want to start to cater also that audience. So that's why we lift off the hard requirement that there will be mandatory subscription for Sailfish OS, but rather we gear it towards a voluntary subscription, which can be a monthly base or semi-annual or something like that. We'll figure out that and announce that separately, hopefully during this month, so that people who are interested to support the development can push in and start to pay a voluntary monthly subscription support membership fee for the Sailfish OS. So we'll come back to that. Thanks, Necron, for asking. We'll come back with separate details on that. Mike is asking, what is your approach to eSIM? Are we visible here on the screen? Also, what is your approach for eSIM? Is Sailfish OS support in active development? Ooh. Who wants to take this? Raine or Sage or I guess it's been a case that we haven't had a customer who would have paid the development, but I don't know, are we technically too far?
It's quite broad and complex.
I should basically say I can either deny or confirm.
No good answer on the easy. Well, resource.
I think
So it's an investment and resource issue.
Requires back of money.
I think the easiest thing is to think of that also, that if you look at the landscape, there are not really anyone that does this kind of thing outside of Android or iOS right now. There's no open source eSIM Mind tool or whatever. So
There are kind of flows, kind of things
Yeah,
that
yeah.
can be used.
but nothing
Potentially
that
licensing and related things easily on our way.
Yeah.
Uh,
Not product terms.
I want a privacy phone, but the C2 is so horribly low and that it hurts. Well, we have work to do there, like discussed. Software-wise, everything's worked so far. Thanks for the good feedback there, or gratitude there. That's of course the case. Sailfish is lighter than Android in general, so that's of course a benefit we are all getting there. Safari is noting that SailMates offer a flashing service. That's a good point. Indeed, there are third parties who do that. Somebody wants to go to sauna, that's always good choice. You guys left the YouTube. Okay, so we get the YouTube. You could offer Sailfish OS license for phones in the same as you. Oh, we address. I guess the maybe a bottleneck. Yes. Anything from here further, please?
When can we expect the next software update for Sailfish OS?
Q3-ish. If you are thinking about bigger release, this 5.1, kind of after summer vacation period, we haven't yet even branched the 5.1, but internally we are using 5.1 from our internal repositories.
So question was about when is the next Sailfish release? So just repeat. Quarter 3, repeating to the line. We have had a pace of 3-4 major updates every year, so we'll keep up that pace definitely. So please.
I think that browser update will land on 5.1.
There's a question regarding browser update. When is the next browser update? 5.1 or
the ESR 102 that you are referring to, I believe that's not hitting yet. I believe that 5.1, but as it is quite a separate component, probably we can ship it eventually as like a minor update on top of 5.1. So we don't need to necessarily wait 5.2.
Thanks, Lauren, to the line. Have a good day in Luxembourg. Have a good summer as well. Anything ETA regarding Xperia 10 5 daily driver with camera support? Xperia 10 4, 5.
4 or 5 camera support.
Yes.
Haven't been chatting with Mal lately on that. Mal has been working mostly on it. Maybe some of you realize the nickname from the IRC and IRC meetings. I believe that eventually that would be the same as with the C2, that we get the improved camera support on this one as well with the Camera 2 API. But
is the C2 going to be able to record video?
that's the same. So Camera 2 API and all the contributions welcome.
How is it has the
Yeah, that's the point.
And hopefully this open sourcing the camera app in general, that also pushes further resources on the community side on that. So, or further interest, let's say so. Hopefully, by the way, people on the line could hear what Raine was answering. I just realized that he was a bit far from the microphone, but maybe you did get the answer there. Regarding Play Store, banking, two-factor authentication, and so forth. So that's an that's a cat and mouse game, like you like all those who use micro G and other workarounds know. So generally, like with a good micro G solution, it seems to work pretty well. There's always bugs here and there that we try to tackle, but you can live with that. So I don't know if the person asking is using or aware of micro G project, but that's an open source version, you could say, emulating Google services. Installing that helps you a lot, but there are still, of course, issues here and there, and we try to tackle those with our resources where we can. DRM white wine, I don't know. I'm not capable to answer. Maybe Sage wants to say anything about DRM or white wine, or you just don't want to say. We don't have too much to say on that. Okay, no real answer for DRM white wine. What we can do about that?
I think it's more a community thing. It's not liable to anything. They can do what they want. So, and you know, they have to find their ways to do it. Yeah, and it is.
Same question on Xperia 10.5, but that was answered. But didn't you hear anything on the line, or I don't know. Not sure whether people heard it on the line. Maybe they did.
There's, I think, at least when it comes to this wideband video playback, there's the possibility when the browser is new enough to make use the browser extension, and then install it as an image member.
What tasks you have accomplished before you can start selling app support for community ports? Not too much. Something reasonable. So should be in a reasonably short time frame. So let's say so. Community has found a way to enable Bluetooth in Android app support, as it has been highly requested. Can there be native UI button? Yeah, we've seen that. I also noticed that discussion in the forum, and I think that's something that we'll look into it more detail. Definitely interesting, and would enable gears around us like wearable devices, watches, and so forth. So just haven't had resources to look into it too much detail, but there's something definitely we have noticed and on the radar. Which was asking link. Yes, please.
Any update on Bluetooth?
There was a question just there about the same thing. I thought that I did answer.
Oh, sorry.
But what did you say?
Sage, I need you to say something on this. Android Auto question. Do you want to come closer to the microphone, or Android Auto compatibility, or anything in that front?
Yeah, no hiding.
Does it relate to Bluetooth as well, somewhat?
I don't really have an update on Android Auto. Hello on the line. But yeah, so there is a Bluetooth work done with app support to get that done. When that can be released, that's on the pipeline, but no schedule on that yet. But for the Android Auto and so forth, that's a bit separate question. Yeah, no schedule.
Yeah.
Q6 win.
Well, that's a good question. When is was it there on your chat? I didn't see there. But
I'll ask every time.
so Joshua just wants to ask about Qt6, of course.
Yeah.
So thought about this during the day, of course, that this question will come, like also the one which is on the screen, which is Sailfish Silica. So basics first. So us buying a license for Qt6 so that we could offer it without GPL version 3, that's just too expensive for us. It doesn't just pay the buck, and we haven't had a customer who would have paid enough for such. So what we are rather thinking, this is no promise, but but we are rather, I need to be very careful here now. So what we are rather thinking that maybe there is a parallel way, because we need to keep the asset available for industrial customers who every now and then ask for a closed option, and they just don't tolerate GPL version 3. There's always that class of industrial customers that we can foresee in the future. So what we are thinking here, just considering, let's say so, how mildly I can say, is that maybe there is a parallel way without forking the asset to keep up, move in a way the community port parts to Qt6 eventually once we have a bit more resources and volume on that side. Not today, definitely not today, but somewhere in the future. And then keep the 5.6 available for the industrial customers who actually require it. But that combination, that parallelism, that requires resources. For us to justify that we would do the effort on the community side, I don't know, 10,000 active users monthly paying, something like that. And you can count the maths, we are not that big when it comes to actively monthly paying community users today. So, but we are on the right track. As said in the beginning, we've been very positively surprised in the past year of the sales of Jolla C2. Mind2 is a good opening as well, and a combination of these, and we are seeing new members coming in increasing pace to the community. So we are on the track there, but just takes more resources than we currently have available. That's an answer, at least. It's an answer. I'll address the Sailfish Silica as well, but let's take from the audience also question.
Yes, still have a question about the Mind2. If I would explain to my friend what it is, I would say it's a small computer. It stays at your home. It's encrypted data. It's kind of personal information management tool. But am I missing something? It runs Sailfish.
It's a very good question. What is the kind of the one term to define it? Because of course it is. Yeah. 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 So it's an AI server. What is running at your home, basically, so that when you have your personal AI assistant, which is answering to your emails, calendar, handling things, Mind2 is its role is to do that, basically. It processes your emails. So have you been looking into Mind2? Do you know how much do you know about it? Okay, so let me, yeah. Okay. What does it do? Yeah, 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 yeah. Good, very good. So let me explain a little bit what it does. Basically, that maybe then we can define what do we call it basically. But you connect your emails, you connect your calendar, you connect also if you have a cloud account for your documents or something. Near future, you connect your WhatsApp as well there, or some other messaging application. It's a data orchestrator, basically. Like it processes all your incoming data into a smart database. Yeah. Yeah.
About the software part, there are a lot of information management systems. Some of them are also good. It is competing, trying to start from scratch to integrate those the calendars, emails, or is it using some other serial models that has been thought that this is a good model, let's build on that.
Yeah, so yeah, yeah. So what it does, it processes your information into it's called vector databases. It's an vectorized data, basically, which is data which AI models are then capable of searching and finding your information. So whatever bigger LLM or whatever model you are using, which is developed some other bigger companies or some other companies, the data has to be structured already for them. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Otherwise, it just becomes a chat, basically. So in order for LLM to process your information and be in kind of understanding what's happening in your daily life, this data has to be processed with these tools what we are using. And then the question is that where does this data sit in? Because in order for this assistant to really AI to be serving you in your daily life, it means that it has to be connecting to all of your data, all your documents, all your emails, calendar, messaging, and so on. So actually your data will be concentrated in one place. And then the question is that, okay, do you want to have a cloud service provider to do that for you? Or do you want to have a private personal AI cloud which you have at home? And that's what Mind2 is basically. Yes, yes, but you are asking the right questions here because it's a new category product also. It's difficult for us also to give it kind of a very good description also. What we already know that it's a right direction, because I wouldn't trust I think nobody of us should trust all of our data concentrated in one place into any cloud provider, basically. I think that's just not sensible idea. So, but we are quite far away from the idea that when was the kind of last time that there was a hardware and software which is completely yours? Like it's not, your data is actually owned by you and you master that. That's Mind2 basically. It's like I don't even control this device here. It's not like it's controlled by Apple basically. Mind2 you control yourself. It's your own personal data, AI powered data server. Yeah.
You cannot do anything against the terms of service, and they cannot just block the device. Like you buy the
We can do that, yeah.
what's the new Nintendo device? This
Yeah, Switch 2.
Switch 2. If you do something against the terms of service, they can break your device. Yes, but in Europe it will be legal. So,
Yes. Yeah. There's we are heading towards quite interesting world where your Microsoft accounts are banned and so on. So yeah, personal, I don't know, personal sovereignty or something like that is yeah. No, yeah.
There is currently a law being discussed in the EU Parliament called the Product Europe. Have you heard about this?
Okay. Yeah.
When these, if these laws get passed, what will be Jolla's, how will Jolla respond to this?
I think we need to just find a very, very clever architecture then not to, yeah. I don't see Jolla in that context,
I
basically.
mean, which company can really react on it? There's nothing that you can do. You can
Yeah.
just abide by it or close.
Yeah.
If you,
Yeah.
it's really just about your ethics in the end. That is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess maybe it's all for all of us to go and call our representatives. Yeah.
Hey.
Or it's better encryption and open source.
Well, it's not by law
yeah.
required to have factors, then the encryption can as good as you want. It's
Depends
on
Yeah. Yeah.
Depends on the organization location, depends on
Yeah.
how you build up your company too.
there was a similar, not the same case. It's a different topic, but there was this German email provider, and by law they're only required to report IP addresses, which they did, but they didn't record anything else. And then the court like the government complained. I'm not
Yeah.
sure which organization from the government was, but they wanted the logs for cost, but they didn't keep all the other information, and then they were forced to keep to track the other information through that they wanted.
Yeah.
May I propose, that's a very good topic. We continue discussion. That seems to be a good table. So anybody joining will join on that table on that front. There's two more questions online, and then I'm thinking we maybe cut down the stream for today. So we'll address a couple of questions from the line. Then we continue discussion here, hopefully also in small groups and tables and all sorts of interesting topic. That's definitely one. So, what will Jolla look in 2028? That's for a chairman. You need to take that, Antti.
Yeah, I think Jolla will need a portfolio of businesses probably to kind of succeed on this. I think the value kind of assets what Jolla has, of course we do have Sailfish and app support, but then really the actual assets are the community. This is very unique community and hopefully growing. And then second asset is our brand. Basically, it's like it's a small company, but it's very well-known company in Finland and not globally as a brand, but industrially it's known. So whenever we go, we are known basically. So that's a big help, and that gives us a possibility to build new things as well. That's one of the things what I'd like to kind of understand a little bit more, that what could we do together with the community also, because this company has been, by the way, saved many times by the community also. It's like we have had tough times, but the community has given a helping hand by buying some of our devices. Some of them didn't ship also properly. We are aware of those as well, but it's in any case, it has been a tremendous help for the company to survive. So I think we need to have a clear understanding what are the products what the community wants from us. That's why I was a little bit raising this topic, that we could have more communication into that direction, that not us guessing what people want, but actually defining together what we want. And then second thing what I think is there was also a comment there that there could be quite a lot of business in the industrial companies direction and for this AI part. And we are quite in unique position there, because there's I don't know many other companies who have now know-how of local AI implementations and software, and who can actually advise companies that how to implement them efficiently. And there was also a comment that we could partner with different expert organizations, and that's also a very good direction that we I don't know, even who knows if we would be even selling some server configurations for AI processing. Even if you look today, I don't know who would I call in Finland today to say that, hey, I need my industrial server which is capable of handling the AI. What kind of token speeds I need? I have 50 people organization. There's no organization who can basically currently have the know-how how to measure that. We do have gradually. It's a difficult question for us as well.
But isn't this kind of topic relatively small in Finland? Finland is not really the country known for the concerns about privacy and
but this can be international topic. We can start from Finland, but it can be international definitely.
And if you look at this kind of topic in Germany and the surrounding countries, we probably get more people looking at that than in Finland.
Absolutely. And then we need to partner with organizations which have access to customers and so on. But
maybe also this kind of government things where they're starting these kind of movements are like interesting, because they're like looking at the if you look at countries where they're so using Microsoft Cloud mostly, doesn't really look like so good a place, and that's like mostly Finland, I think.
Yeah, that's true. But also what it's a longer discussion, and don't want to go too deep there. But
Yeah.
when we start, I was first a little bit concerned that where was our place with the Microsoft in Finland, which is Microsoft country basically mostly. But then when I look more deeper into what companies are doing, they actually need to integrate all their processes into AI basically, so that your supplier data, your customer data, Microsoft is limited to their own kind of a pool. So there's massive amount of work to be done on there, and I think it's a very well fits to Jolla's kind of purpose to provide this kind of independence for our customers, independence from control basically of big players or something. What is a big question mark for me, at least personally, is that can there be a bigger volume smartphone devices for Jolla? I don't know, honestly.
On that part, have you how far have you gone with mobile device management, for example? Considering if I have an IT company and I have customers that I want their phones to be managed, it's Android management is ass, iOS as management is complete ass. So if you look for mobile devices, the management side, so you could sell to businesses or really service, like who provide IT services to companies, they could sell the phone because management is a lot better than.
Maybe I address that. So we haven't had an active customer in few years on that, but earlier we did, and we have an implementation based on that, which is something that we also open source now on the device side part. So, but that is we get questions every now and then, not only from Finland but also outside, that there are B2B like value-added resellers or system integrators who would be interested to offer this for their B2B customers. So that is definitely something we are looking there. Want to address a couple of questions from the chat, because there was this Sailfish Silica question which wasn't yet answered, and Joshua is also interested in that.
It has never been asked, I think.
So basically open sourcing Sailfish UI, the home, Sailfish Silica and so forth. So let's say so that now first things first. So there was a bit of a tulppa, what's that in English, in block in our way for a while here. Now we open the phase one, like introduced today. We start from there. We are ready to consider when it comes to home and Sailfish Silica and so forth. This is no promise, this is not the announcement and so forth, but this is definitely, we are ready to consider. Let's see this phase one now. Really, we want to engage in a new way through these applications that and the components we enable. Like I emphasized that let's see the results and activity areas of interest, and we understand, of course, that the home is something that could be one. There's a question about this: how many recurring monthly subscriptions are you at the moment? And actually the answer is none, because we don't collect for monthly subscriptions. So that's a particular answer, but I think the real topic there is that how many of users there are in general when it comes to Sailfish. Few tens of thousands users when it comes to total Sailfish OS community devices outside of the industrial clients I'm talking about. So, but as said, we don't have a monthly recurring business from that at the moment. So that's the case. What percentage of your work doing for industrial customers? 80% or more, 80-90%. So that's definitely the case. But as noted here earlier, the community activities have actually produced good result now, thanks to these sales now in the past year or so, and in a good accelerating pace. And what I'm most happy, not only on the finance side there, but the fact that we are getting new members, new people joining to Sailfish community, and that's good for all of us, I think. Does Jolla have plans to enter consumer market, right, with the US anti-USA sentiment? Well, in a way, that's one of the things that we have seen with the increasing sales of the community phone. So it has definitely increased during past few months because of what's happening in the geopolitics in the world. People are getting more and more aware that that we also need to be sovereign within the European Union and European market and so forth. And this is an option that we offer even with the C2. So
Should you focus more on that now?
to consumer market.
No, I mean the European side.
Well, we are focusing quite well.
Yeah.
Actually, we don't.
Yeah.
We are. I don't know. Have you seen actually any of our ads? But built in Europe, runs on Linux, seems to work the best when it comes to advertisement.
Yeah.
So the first word there is built in Europe. So that's really the case. So, but having entering the consumer market, I have answered this so many times. Never say never. Antti was kind of saying here also that we are looking for a portfolio of devices. There needs to be a significant, meaningful volume. But there are like segments of consumer market that we are already addressing, and maybe we can start to, in a way, slice it further when it comes to, for example, privacy-oriented consumers or technology privacy-oriented consumers and so forth. So, but that's something also to consider and plan further, a bit of more resources.
It's quite difficult to plan. Basically, it's so unpredictable. Basically, these developments. Basically, but definitely, if there's kind of if this demand will be picking up, then of course it's and we are in that sense we are, for example, this that we brought both Jolla C2 and Mind2 two hardware products within a year. Of course, we didn't do all ourselves, but basically it shows that we have actually quite good existing relationships with different hardware providers. So we and also quite good know-how how to build good hardware products also. So we should be openly kind of looking into this. But the fact is that today anything which is not community driven will die. Basically, the customer acquisition cost is so high. It's so high that you would have to have a massive marketing budget to get into business. But then if there's kind of a growing community actually wanting to have this, then it's completely different game. Basically, we can jointly kind of address this kind of and find the products. But I don't really believe on openly going after consumer marketing. It will not work. It's like the statistics tell basically that the customer acquisition cost for hardware product is something like $150. So it's that's crazy basically. So only way is to do it with a community growing.
And careful segments.
I guess it's also related to how product test and how far this is some early thing that like nobody has, then it's hard to find average people to buy it and like go to Ganti and buy it or whatever.
Yeah.
I think a good example is to like if you like see like how routers develop, like there's this company in Germany that does this more advanced routers for consumers where you can buy just go to store Fritz boxes where you have to they can relate with advanced things. And if you would have looked at something like this 20 years ago, you probably wouldn't have found this in the store anywhere.
Yeah.
And so on.
Hey, I propose that we take a short pause here, maybe a bio break for somebody as well.
Or beer break.
Or beer. Happy to keep the chat open, the Zoom open. We can keep that open. Hopefully, we have addressed pretty much all the questions from the chat line. Try to follow that as much as possible. Positively, what I was following, we had close to 70 persons actually jumped from YouTube to Zoom. all the time, and still 49 now. So that's a good result after the hiccup in the beginning, and sorry about that, but very good result. So that means close to 100 together, because we were around 30 here in the start. So that's a good number. That's a very good number. We'll keep the line open. Please post if there are any questions. We take a short pause here from Tampere, and we continue discussions here.